You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another movie review. Today I'll be reviewing I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a 1998 slasher film, which was written by Kevin Williamson, which is the guy who wrote Scream. Not the guy who directed Scream, and also not the guy who directed this, but it does have the same writer as Scream. That will play a factor in this because the writing style is very similar, with the big exception being this movie takes itself seriously. It is not a parody like Scream was. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a slasher movie which features characters played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Freddie Prinze Jr. So yes, it has two of the people involved in the Scooby-Doo movies, being Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie Prinze Jr. is so famous, he's known for, in my book, the Scooby-Doo movies, and for being a jackass who doesn't know anything about Star Wars. But that's regardless. I Know What You Did Last Summer plays on a few urban legends, particularly the hook hand legend. That's the main thing with the killer. If you're unfamiliar with the story, it's about a group of college students who hit a guy with their car and then throw him in a lake. And then they try to cover it up. And then they get a mysterious note a year later saying, "I know what you did last summer." And then they start getting killed off by this mysterious hook man. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a movie that is kind of been a part of my life since I was a kid, even though I hadn't seen it until just recently. For the simple fact is everyone in my school talked about it when I was growing up. Everyone acted like it was an important thing. I also had seen the Simpsons parody from the Treehouse of Horror known as I Know What You Diddly Did previously to this. And because of that, I kind of had an idea of how the movie was going to end. I won't spoil it here for those of you who still want to check it out, but it is a very predictable ending. Because part of the movie is it's kind of a whodunit in the same way that Scream is. Not to the same extent. For a slasher movie, though, it has a really low body count. Like, granted, there are plenty of good slasher movies that have low body counts. For instance, Wes Craven's New Nightmare doesn't have a particularly high body count, but it's still one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies. This one, not only does it not have a good body count, but none of the characters are particularly likable. Well, it's true, some of them are okay, and the characters themselves aren't exactly super well developed. Jennifer Love Hewitt's character is just kind of the nice girl who wants to do the right thing. Sarah Michelle Gellar is just kind of the somewhat bitchy girl that ultimately feels bad about what happened, but wants to cover it up because she wants to save her own ass. The blonde guy, who I don't remember who he was played by, is the asshole who's just like, we need to cover this up right now, and he's just a fucking dick. And Freddie Prinze Jr. is Freddie Prinze Jr., so, as likable as Freddie Prinze Jr. is. But in all seriousness, I don't mean to shit on Freddie Prinze Jr. as much as I am. I'm just a little salty about a particular interview he had when he was talking about Star Wars and saying a lot of controversial things, to say the least. As an actor, he's alright. But anyway, the movie itself is okay, at best. It's not great, it's not terrible. It's something to put on, for sure. It's something to watch, because it's, like I said, in a way, it was a large part of my childhood. The horror movies that everyone talked about when I was a kid were The Ring, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Silence of the Lambs, believe it or not. In fact, in my school, there were some kids who found a copy of Silence of the Lambs in, like, a janitor's closet and, like, watched it in secret in one of the classrooms that was empty or something. I don't remember the full story behind that, but something like that happened, and that was very interesting. But that's off topic. I Know What You Did Last Summer is an okay movie. It's fine. It doesn't have a lot of blood either. It's not particularly violent. In fact, there's only one death that even has blood in it, really. And that was actually added in as an after effect because the director said when it didn't have blood, it didn't make any sense. So, it's an interesting movie. If you're a fan of Scream, I'd still recommend checking it out. Some of the suspense, I guess, is pretty good, I guess, but the thing is, the story's very predictable. The characters aren't particularly likable, and the killer's just kind of boring, in all honesty. They could have done so much more with the Hookman angle, and they just really didn't. And I already kind of knew what the ending was going to be, because like I said, the Treehouse of Horror segment that is based on this is very kind of telling on what the ending will be, even though it was kind of bullshit and had a werewolf in it, but that's regardless. In fact, this might have been better with a werewolf. In fact, if there was a fucking werewolf in this movie, I'd like it a hell of a lot more. But, no, it was fine. I'll probably watch it again at some point. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about I Know What You Did Last Summer. There are 2 sequels, and the titles got progressively more stupid as it went on. So the first one was I Know What You Did Last Summer, then there was I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and then after that was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Interesting. I'll probably check out the 2 sequels eventually and give them a review too, just for shits and giggles. Have a good one.
I did a Star Wars cartoon So even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right.
The second 3 were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids. You just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl.
Yeah.
That's it. Because Luke Skywalker's Cinderella.